Have been made recently to local schools, causing concern for the safety of both students and faculty. 12 News' Aaron Lawler spoke with the district attorney to find out just how serious Broome County is taking these threats.
The new school year may have only begun a few weeks ago, but online threats are already flooding social media accounts of some districts, including Sydney and Binghamton.
No kids deserve to go to school being scared for their life.
On September 23rd, Binghamton High School suffered a 2-hour delay due to online shooting threats being made. For community members with school-age children, they say they want to see something done to address their worries.
Fake threats should be dealt really seriously, because that's increasing those threats and that would increasing the worries.
Others say they are concerned about how the threats are taking resources away from the community. They think tougher punishments need to be taken.
I mean, if an ambulance could be needed for someone that really needs an emergency, and you're making false threats and having emergency personnel do something, then there's no emergency. Yeah, that should be a serious penalty for doing that.
Broome County District Attorney Paul Battisti, a parent of school-age children, says he sympathizes with parents.
We have to stop jeopardizing the educational process and the harm that this is bringing to students and faculty and our community population every day.
Battisti says Broome County is doing everything they can to take action against these threats. He agrees something needs to be done and says if his office can do so, it will.
And it's got to stop, and it will stop.
He says depending on the suspect's age, they can have a criminal conviction, be banned from the school, and banned from certain social media sites like Snapchat.
Students don't realize this. A lot of students don't appreciate the wrongfulness of their actions.
The district attorney tells 12 News that threat assessment teams are being assembled as we speak at 8 different school districts in the area. Aaron Lawler, 12 News,